Nobody talks, nobody talks, nobody talks shidduchim.
This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's another episode of the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. I am your host, El Presidente, Co-Presidente. IJ, welcome everybody. You're too kind. You're too kind. I'm here today with my co-host and former Olympic gold medalist from camp, Avery.
I'm just happy I'm not Drake Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Today, see what's going on.
Don't bring it up.
I know.
Paige is here with us. Paige, welcome back. It's been some time.
Thank you. It has been, but I'm happy to be back.
Yes. Be honest. Something Avery said, right? You know how this guy is. Anyway, yeah, we just got a whole new deck, all new sounds, whatever. Episode 51, we're continuing the series on Shomer, and it's navigating relationships with Shomer in mind. And we wanted to leave that a bit ambiguous because we want to present this side. We want to touch up and make sure that we cover as many sides as we can. And there's a lot of topics, a lot to get to in this episode. We'll have different perspectives. We have Rabbi AY joining us. We have Paige, who is a girl. Last time we had a Huva, who was a therapist. We have a girl now joining us. And we have a number of callers. So stay tuned and light that smelly candle. And we'll be chatting momentarily. All right, back at it. Episode 51, navigating a relationship with Shomer in mind. IJ, Avery, and Paige here. So a few things on this, right? How can you feel intimate connecting in a Shomer relationship? You know, what are some ways to bring up boundaries, gedorim, as Avery says, without offending the other side? I mean, that was a good one. Very good top. Very good. And does being Shomer fall under this other categories? Does it fall under? Oh, you're gonna hear my mouth fall on this one. On Shabbos, on Kashrus, Tznius, and it's good stuff. Last episode we had a lot to discuss, and we wanted to kind of break down this episode a little bit more. Topics we haven't gotten to, and a little bit extended view of Rabbi AY, who will be joining us later in the program, and Paige, who represents El Familia. Is that Spanish for woman? I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have Avery here. Avery, what are your thoughts on this?
So just to reintroduce the topic of Shomer Negiah from the point of view that we're going to be talking about is keeping in mind that the majority of people who are listening to this podcast are trying to stay Shomer in the relationship, or if they're not, they're at least contending with the fact that they have been told by various rabbanim, parents, professionals, teachers, that staying Shomer before a relationship before you're married, is the way to go about getting married and keeping halacha to the best you can actually do it. So, having said that, one of the things I wanted to discuss, bringing up as IJ mentioned before, bringing up being intimately connected in a relationship, and what Shomer does to keep us connected, because you can feel connected with something and not actually touch it. You can have FaceTime with somebody, you can have a, business category somewhere, you can have, business partners and never meet them, never feel really connected. Maybe Paige, who is an expert on this, who's been through it, can tell us what Shomer does.
Women are experts on that all.
Really?
I like Paige. Paige is one of the only, female women out there who have been on this podcast. No, I love them all. I love them all.
She loves all the people.
We're having, we're gonna have new swag. Female Shidduch squad, something like that.
Yeah, but Paige, what do you think Shomer does to establish a connection? Does it inhibit? Does it?
Okay, so
does
it's
being Shomer inhibit? Does not being Shomer?
Right. So,
make it worse,
for the record,
better?
I'm Shomer, so take it from that perspective to begin with.
I didn't know.
Secondly,
Hashtag Team
Avery and I are
Shomer.
Shomer
Team Shomer.
with each other.
tonight, right? So you mentioned FaceTime, and you have that business relationship, and especially now with post-COVID, people are still Zooming and all that. So you do have relationships where it's officially Shomer because you're not touching. It's just on a surface level, obviously. Now between woman and man, it's a completely different relationship that you're trying to build. That being said, in my opinion, I think being Shomer enables you to have a very deep emotional, intellectual, even a chemistry that you can still have and feel immensely and build upon while being Shomer. Now, it's not easy being Shomer. No one said it was easy. But having that boundary just can get you to a level that you cannot otherwise get fully when you're not Shomer. Now, the level that you get to when you break Shomer, which should be after marriage, is another level. But that's not the same as if you're not married to that person. If you're just trying to build a relationship, seeing if it's the one, once you're being not Shomer, once you're being physical, you almost lost a chance of getting a deeper, stronger, emotionally connected in so many levels to another person, in my opinion. So I think that being Shomer is there for a reason, and it's a good reason.
I like the deeper level that you can get to.
Right.
I'm a big believer in
It
that.
almost stops
it's
at a point once you're not Shomer,
Yeah.
because then you have that physical element that clouds and covers and disables the other elements to fully develop.
Yes.
further.
Oh, I love that. So by keeping Shomer, you allow all other aspects of the relationship, which is not physical.
Right.
And as Ahuva mentioned last time, when the chemicals are in your brain, it's a whole other game. It's a whole different story. And here you're saying that it helps. It does. It's like a muscle. You're working these muscles out. Whether it's just this emotional connection, how to read the person better, how to deal with the person better,
How to communicate
and I think
with
that's
them.
the physical aspect of it that allows me to pontificate on this in a good way and just say, it works. It does work. And I am pro it. I know people are like, what's IJ's deal? Is he not? Is he?
Depends on the day.
It depends on the day. I like
And
that.
depends on the date.
It depends on the date. Exactly. Right. Avery told us last time, Vice President Harris.
But as IJ said before, he got my Kamala Harris crush, out there in the public. As IJ said before, he says he is someone who is understanding of why people break Shomer because of the psychological effects of how a human person and humans are, that they get along better physically, intimately, and all that, and it creates a real spark and a connection that you can't necessarily duplicate without the Shomer relationship. That is what we determined and discussed, and we've discussed personally on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Now,
To what degree is
you,
that
Paige,
connection?
well, here's what I'm saying. Well,
Yeah.
you, Paige, are somebody who says, I will stay Shomer no matter what. I'm not breaking my boundaries. Now, you're in a relationship with somebody, you're dating. They don't want to be Shomer. They say, this is how they want to go about life.
Sure.
And they're not going to just start all of a sudden make moves. They're going to respect you. But what are the ways that you can bring up your boundaries and Gedarim to them so that you'll maintain the good relationship that you have without crossing those, Shomer lines?
Good question. I think the simple, easy answer for me is it's halacha. If you don't respect and you don't follow halacha, then obviously we're on the same page, and there's probably lots of other things we don't actually agree on halakhically. How are we going to run our home in that way, in that regard, on the same page? If you can't respect that, then there's an issue, and obviously we can't continue dating. Because even though you might say that's just one halacha, in a sense, that's a big deal. Because that's why there's this whole controversy, like being Shomer and not being Shomer. But once that line is crossed, it's, in a sense, a different level. It's called a lack of self-control, in my opinion.
Okay.
And once there's lack of self-control in that area, you're going to have that overflow to other areas in life as well. And if it's halacha related, depends how much halacha means to you. If you're not so particular and you're okay with, a little less here, a little less there, then, it'll work for you. But if you're particular to be, Shomer Halacha in this area and it means so much to you and that guy cannot respect it, then they're not a match.
Well, see, from the guy's side,
let's hear the guy's side.
Guy's side. Wait,
I mean,
do
Isaac,
I know
let
any
me just
guys
say
out
something.
there?
I
No.
know IJ for a long time,
You
and
can
I know
call
you're a
him.
very respectful guy. So even
Yes.
though you may not be Shomer all the time, I don't know, based on what you said, I'm not.
Whoa, what
yeah.
are these accusations?
I don't know, whatever. I know you're a very respectful guy, and I think that.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
That's part of it, but also, I'm willing to be that person to poke at it. Of course, we're factoring in. We're describing the premise as we all keep halacha. We're all from here. We all kept shomer, and we keep kashrus. We keep Shabbos. And now, you're dating for many years, however old you are. You can still be in your teens if you want. But at a certain age, it's like I'm feeling physically and emotionally sick.
Right.
That I'm literally going against my physical
nature,
and I'm getting this hunger in me, and it's really affecting me. And I have seen that.
Right, but that's
I mentioned on the show, like we had I was looking for a new roommate, and oh my God, I was just interviewing all these guys, and I noticed something. I noticed the ones who were Shomer. I don't want them as my roommate. But the ones who weren't, no. I mean, you could see certain things that, and I'm wondering, I was like, what is it with this? Do girls see that? Can a girl see if a guy is Shomer? Tell me.
Me personally, I do not know, especially more recently.
More
recently, it's like you expect guys. I mean, I would expect just seeing them in a crowd and at events, like they're Shomer, and then I'm like hearing from women, from girls, they're not actually Shomer all the time.
So it's more in a
actually
cacophonous
unclear
way.
now at this
More in a
point.
cacophonous
and
way.
they present like they are,
Which is tricky, like a tricky way.
It's become a thing. Like
It's
even
not
in
a
the
no,
right,
like,
even
of
the
course.
right wing circles,
Right.
even the black and white guys. I'm telling you, it's out there.
Yeah, you've been dating for some time.
I have.
People can trust.
I mean, in the beginning it was a shock, but
you got used to it.
I've seen it and whatever. I'm not gonna say more. So yeah.
Yeah.
You've experienced.
I'm here to defend, and that's I think the difference.
Right. So here's
is that,
the thing.
And
You're
this is
saying it's a
something
natural need.
and I don't mean anything offensive to our audience at all. And Avery, you've had a broken engagement, right? And people were like, well, at least he wasn't married, or at least they didn't have children. And I said, pish posh. Who are you to say? Who cares? It was the time was what God meant it to be. Who cares? It wasn't this, it wasn't that. It happened. I think it's the same negative connotation that's crossed over to Shomer, as you were just describing, and saying, well, he was a great guy and all, but he's not Shomer. So why do we have to treat it like that? I understand if your night it's black and white, it's just night and day. But if you're looking to get married and you're saying, this guy seems like such a normal, awesome guy, and he's playing around, well, I wonder why. And Avery and I have a lot of friends.
Well,
they did more than play around.
I'd like to.
They
comment
played
on
with
that.
our footballs.
No, I'd like to comment on that.
Right,
when
you know who I'm talking about.
When you talk about our friends who have been around, God made man and women differently.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, men and women are created differently. We're not equal in some levels, but at the same time, what is said that man is searching for his missing part. Women are more closely connected to God. So conceptually, when you think about it like that, we're closer to the ground. We are a less than species in some ways, spiritually, as to quote the spiritual people of our generation, our nation. To say that, you expect guys to remain shomer throughout their extended 20s, as IJ mentioned. It's a much bigger ask than it is for women.
Oh, 100%.
Much bigger ask.
I don't
Judge
know.
guys on halacha in this category is, I would say, it's
that.
something that needs to be judged on a curve, on a scale of saying, women to man, I don't know, but man against himself, against his nature, wow, he was, he did have some
this
slip
guy.
ups. I get it.
Yeah,
I understand.
and Avery, the girls hide behind it. It's much easier for them to hide behind being Shomer.
Yeah.
Of course, because of the chemical aspect, because of the commute, right? But for a guy,
They're the ones who get the blame. You're saying.
I
also?
mean, why do they? Yeah, why do they get the blame? Honestly, in every case I've had told to me, it was all the woman. It was all the girls.
Yeah.
And I believe it. I believe it.
Well, that gets back to, is it worse to elevate?
You might be flummoxed by that, perplexed even.
That goes
But
back to the question.
girls are the ones who initiate it more.
But you know what? They're not getting in trouble for it, so
They're not getting
they're
in
not
trouble
to blame
for it.
in a sense.
Exactly,
The guys will
Paige,
always be blamed.
The guys are always blamed. Why
Exactly.
is that?
Why is that?
You want equal pay. You want equal rights. You want, equal counting in Georgia. God forbid that, we should blame the girl.
A friend of mine,
Come on.
I'll get to a story here. A friend of mine had a very uncomfortable situation. They were sitting on the couch at her parents' house.
Uh-huh.
Somehow
Tell us
she
more.
went in to give him a hug and then as they were doing that, her father walked right in the door.
Oh, wow.
Right on the door. Who do you think got blamed in that scenario? She went in. Who do you think got
Her.
blamed?
The guy
Naturally. Was what
and
is
it's the
going
father's
on?
daughter.
Yeah, the father got
Oh.
blamed. That's, by
Should
the way,
have.
in the Goyish Zach,
That's the problem.
meaning in the Gentile, in the Ummah Sa'elam,
Mhm.
it would be the parents' fault. It would.
be.
Imagine now, like you're watching, Danny Tanner walking on cameras, whatever, Camden camera, or like Home Improvement, Tim whatever his name is, right? And he's like, the dad is blamed. Somehow the dad is blamed. The mom is blamed. Wow. Life should be more like a TV show. I think like some major differences from last time. I think we defined Shomer Negiah really well in many ways, and also like these issues that are promulgating. We want to like decipher, halacha, the halachic perspective, the emotional perspective, and I think the physical perspective. That all has to be weighed into it.
Definitely. Now, is it worst for the person, like Paige was saying before, right? The guys are judged differently and all that against the women. Is it worse for the person who begins to break the shomer, initiates, or is it worse for the person to elevate and take it to the next level?
I think the second, taking to the next level, because think about it. If the one initiates but gets nothing in return, there's going to be the uncomfortable and then it'll be stopped right there. But the one who elevates it is the enabler, because without that second, second action as a reaction to the initial, I think nothing would go further.
Wow. That's like what God said, right? Don't touch the apple, right? What? And then
One
the
leads,
person
that
who
one
went
leads
together,
to the
is it?
next. This
Leads-
one's the
it leads
enabler
to
in
something
a
else.
sense, whether
Right.
it's the male or the female, and it could be either.
Well, yeah,
Even though the males get blamed.
It's very complex. Honestly, the beginning part of breaking Shomer is the most complex out of everything else, because if you do break it, right, if it's broken, let's say even by the other party, there's a tremendous amount of overture or an introduction to something more substantial, such as taking it farther, which it happens in almost every case. People don't just say, we're going to break Shomer. We're just holding hands.
Right, because at that point, it's not
And
even
it's
about
a-
a relationship. It's not about the connection. It's just about one thing snowballing into the next, and
Yeah.
it's just a comfort, enjoyment, pleasure. Let's be real.
So I've
Yeah.
seen from
I
those
mean, especially
people.
from a guy's
And-
perspective, you should know this.
Wow.
I'm assuming,
Oh, yeah, I don't know any.
but,
Definitely. But
I'll be honest with the audience. Like I think if you get close in a relationship to engagement or marriage, there is absolutely there is probably not an expectation, but just a looseness that the couple really floats closer to. Like they're more accepting of.
you're saying allowing it?
Why do you think that is, RJ?
They're more enabled.
And why do you think that is?
Well, the Yetzer Hara works in mysterious ways.
Because they think they're so close.
Yeah.
Now it's okay.
It's okay. She's really, she's the
Engaged, you're not
one.
engaged, she's for you already. She's possessed
Paige,
by you.
Exactly.
Is it okay?
Is it? Yeah. You tell yourself, oh, it's okay. It's like Rabbi Orlovsky's thing that I always talk about. When the girl goes out with the guy, she doesn't like him, and they ask her on the first date, Sprints Averyberg, how was the date? She's like, it's terrible. I hate the guy. I never want to see him again, but I'm going to go out. And then they go out, and then the next time, I like him a little more, like him a little more. Same exact thing here. Like, you're just kind of opening up a little bit more, hand holding, other things. Look, I'll tell you. I think the first thing I just want to say is like I totally hear you, bro. I totally get you, sis. It's not easy. You're exhausted.
Yeah.
You've been dating, and no one gets it because you want to run to your rebellion and discuss it, and they've never experienced this. You want to speak to a family member, and some of them will just be like, "Ew, gross! I can't hear this." And then, where do you go for this? And you could come to us. You come to us, and I'll tell you, I get it. Like, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. Like, maybe we can have in Yiddishkeit, and this is really a big problem in 2021. We believe in coming up, tshuva. We believe in tshuva. Become a Baal tshuva after you break Shomer, and just say, you know what, we're restarting. We're starting from regular. We're gonna go back. We're Shomer. We're Baalei tshuva now. It's happening. We're not just try. Life is part of the battle. Deepening the commitment to the battle, not just quote unquote winning and I was Shomer and I was this and I was that. We're living, there's a society. I can only think of one rabbi who really, had a tough time at shidduchim, or at least got married later, right? And he talks about it. I think his name is Rabbi Bashevkin. That I would go to him. We could have a conversation. But anyone else, you can't be shy. This guy dated the first woman he married. What does he know about it?
I agree with you, even though I'm not a male. I'm not a man. That if someone hasn't experienced what you're going through as an older single, they can't really direct you and help you and advise you. Because, like you said, easy for them to say. They never went through it. They never had to deal with what you're dealing with. There was a point that Avery had said about guys getting blamed, right? And it's like, whose fault it's going to be? Oh, they're going to blame the guy. Obviously, a part of it is because the guys have that nature and that need like tenfold, more than women. So I think that a part of it is a worry that a guy is just filling their need, and yet whether it's with someone they're really interested in or maybe they're just using that person. I think that as a female, there could be a part of us that would worry, is this an expression of our relationship, of our closeness, of our connection, or is this an easy way in at this point? We can be used.
Paige, it's funny you mentioned that because I was speaking to somebody over Shabbos and they were talking about their previous experience. They were dating somebody and they were in a very long-term relationship, and in that relationship they weren't Shomer, and then they got into another relationship. It was going very well, and her decision was, no matter what happens in this relationship, because of my previous experience where it felt like the guy was just taking advantage of me, ended, I'm going to stay Shomer.
Wow. I wonder
no matter what. And they ended up getting married.
Oh,
now,
look at that.
We don't know.
Look at that.
Of course, obviously, you have to look at things, subjectively. Maybe it would have worked out either way.
Okay,
but the concept of having an experience that may have not worked out and then propelling you to change something in the relationship, I'm sure maybe she changed other things as well, other aspects of it.
Right.
But that's a very big step in terms of Shomer. Now, one thing I also wanted to get to, this kind of touches on what IJ was talking about earlier, was how Shomer relates to tznius. Women know how to dress. Women know how not to dress, right? They're taught this at very young ages in Beis Yaakovs and wherever. And they know how to dress in ways that can get guys to say, hey, who's that girl? Hey, who's the one by the sushi? Who's the one by the bar?
Who's that one I want to wrap in the sushi?
Now, women, if you want to stay Shomer, if that's your goal in your relationships, what the hell are you doing dressing the way that many of these girls do?
And IJ, that was a great point, though, that you brought up about the rabbis.
So many of them.
No, about the rabbis and relationships, talking about, that they shouldn't do this stuff. First of all, being Shomer or not being Shomer, for a guy, think about it. He's got nothing to do on a date. They've been out a billion times, a billion places. It's a cheap, thrilling date.
It's called
think about it.
Expression of, I'll get some pleasure, so I'm not just wasting my
Get some
time,
pleasure.
even if it goes nowhere.
Yeah,
Which is why the girls feel the way they do.
I can't do that. I'm not like that. Like to, I have to like the
interested,
person. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Because
Well,
I've been
but
out
there are
with
plenty of
good-looking
guys that
women,
don't
and
have to.
I'm just like,
No.
I'm not. But yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
what about you, Avery?
No,
You
I
feel the
can't.
same?
Certainly, even if I'm attracted
Or
in
only if
other
you're
ways,
actually-
I could like the person. I could find them intellectually stimulating, but not marriage material. And that's
Right.
Okay,
that's
and
a
will
huge
that-
thing with
will
the
that
guys.
hold you back from being Shomer? Wait, did I say that right?
Will that right? No, people got the point. Like, would that and
Right.
that would
No,
that
that's-
drive me to being Shomer? Yeah. See, that's a good question there. So I think it really is subjective, where, of course, I want to be Shomer with the right person, but if I'm like sensing this person's not serious about getting married, which I do often with many girls, if I think that they are, can't make the jump, they just can't commitment, etc., whatever, or perhaps maybe even for me, then I think I could see why a guy would break it, either way in that situation. Does that make sense, Paige?
If that's they would break it, which
I just think at the end of the day that
the girl
this
will be used.
it's not a precipice of a situation. It's not dangerous.
You're saying
if
it's not
it's,
such a big deal
Well,
at the end of the day.
yeah. Well, I would agree.
Doesn't mean that much.
I would definitely
Coming
say,
from the
like,
guy?
I'm saying like this. I hold by the 3 rules of shidduch dating, which was actually established by one of my sisters. I have many sisters, but I'm one of them. And I'll never forget the 3 rules of dating, which I mentioned on this podcast before. The first one is play by your own rules. Play by your own rules. The second one is be shomer until you need not to be. And then the final one is don't listen to anybody else. I don't remember what the final one is. 1 second here. I'm gonna cut this out. Let me see.
For a guy to not be Shomer, it's a lot obviously easier and more
Here.
natural.
Oh, I have the 3 rules.
And okay, give me a second.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean as much to them. Although you said, you have to be interested, but there's plenty of guys that don't have to be that interested because if the looks are there, they'll just won't be Shomer. Yeah. Now, for a girl to be on the receiving end, I think it means a lot more to them, and they think a lot more, and it's more emotional for them when they're being physical. So it's almost like an imbalance of what that's expressing coming from a male.
See, Avery, yes.
Then the female receiving it thinks a whole nother story, a whole nother
Paige,
level.
I love that you brought that point up, because the hasaga here, it's a stacked against the guy's game, because for a girl, like you're saying, a girl to be shomer is the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing compared to the guy. Again, not that it's going to be tough. I'm saying it is tough, ladies. It's tough. I totally get you. I empathize. But for the guy, it's murder. For the girls, it's like, all right, I'm training for the Olympics. Why? Well, a girl will always hug and kiss her girlfriends. She's playing around with the nephews and nieces. Mm-hmm. Girls are
and
naturally, and girls release, I think they release dopium through talking, right? And through certain other situations. Guys, it's just physical. And they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get any of that.
That's true.
I think it's
thought of
stacked.
that, to be honest.
See, we're educating the Jewish women of Klal Yisrael.
It's definitely
Avery.
stacked against the guys, for sure.
And I just wanted to go back. The 3 rules. Date him until you hate him, which girls do not do. Paige, I think you do this.
I do this. I always tell the guys.
Shomer until it's necessary. Again, shomer until it's necessary. And play by your own rules. Those are the three big major rules of dating.
Coming from
IJ, coming from 6
IJ.
girls who got married by playing by those rules. Thank you
wow.
very much.
I wanted to, if I can, I want to go back to the question I was asking Paige before the phone call,
Yes.
which was, can you judge someone? We're talking about women in SNEAS, and that some women are bringing on the idea they like to dress in ways that they know are going to get men to do certain things. They are like goading us in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do they do that? If they plan to be shomer, do they not?
Because, I mean, I don't know what all the women do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure there
Promiscuous.
Yeah.
Very
Definitely a
community-wise, it's
percentage
also a
of them.
big
Paige,
thing.
and wait,
Right.
I'm sorry I'm going to give Paige the proper time, but I just want to say,
Yeah.
I was upstate this Shabbos. I was in Vacation Village. People were like, IJ for the podcast, sign right here. No. I was putting the cholent, on their face, like signing them. Okay, anyway. And, I was with a bunch of married people in Vacation Village, and they're like, me and the guys, we come back from shore, we're picking up the girls. I had no one to pick up. I mean, I was taking care of one of the babies, whatever. And anyway, one of the girls goes, I love the fact that we can just wear whatever we want in Vivi. She's like, yeah, why is that? And she's like, because it's more, because it's more modern. Modern girls don't care. And I'm thinking to myself, I jumped in. I was like, wait, what did you say? Tell me. They're like, yeah, when we go to the Frum bungalows, she's like, on a Shabbos, 95 degrees, disgusting, humid, like no one's around. You got to dress to kill. And by the way, I love both these communities. Everyone has to know. I'm not one of these guys who just bitch and moan. Isn't this crazy that like in the Frum community, you go out in public and you got to dress to kill. The girls are asking the guys to be promiscuous.
I mean, I don't know what to say because obviously
you haven't heard it before.
No, it was actually well said, like that whole little comparison you did, and the fact that I think it's true just gives more credence to it. Anyhow, about that, I think that there's a percentage of them that do dress maybe to get the attention of the guys. However, there's definitely a big percentage of a girl being a girl. We like to look good. Dressed up. We like to look good in front of our girlfriends. That's how it is. It happens to be attracts guys. Okay, but we're not doing that for the main, that's not the ultimate.
Is it
reason.
not? Okay, but 5 dates.
I
now.
don't know that it's not.
5 dates with a guy. Fine. Your
Okay,
first 4
so when
dates,
a
you want
girl-
to dress up, you want to attract them.
Right, okay.
5, 6, 7 dates come in. You could already you can let your guard down a bit. You don't have
They
to
do-
put on that
don't
much
girls do that?
eyeshadow. You don't have to.
Oh.
Your skirt doesn't have to be that tight anymore. Like you can relax a little bit. Meaning like, don't.
Don't most girls do that? I mean, from my experience and from the people that I know.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
So then.
Some of them, if, in any
then
case,
maybe
they
that's their
step it
style.
up.
Interesting. Well, maybe they are more in. Okay, I don't know what to say about those girls because I personally don't know them, and why they do it. Obviously, from the people that I know dating. Okay, you're definitely dressing to attract the opposite gender, and you want to, you do want to feel good, you want to look good, but you want him to be attracted to you, especially if you like the guy.
Well, I think it's probably something like because they're in a relationship, they know what the guy likes, or at least they create this image of what they think the guy likes.
Right.
So then they start to dress in a certain way.
That could very well be true.
Yeah.
Probably is true.
Yeah.
But in terms of like being more lax as the dates go on, I think you should be more comfortable in your skin because now it's not just the externals. Like the guy already knows you more for you.
Right.
That's my take on it.
I agree with you. That's how it should be.
And that's how it should be. Now,
Yeah.
if a girl's still dressing that, maybe they're still attracting other guys. Like you got to be careful. Maybe I don't know. As a guy, you got to keep your eyes open.
Definitely have to be careful.
Are you on shidduch date burnout? Getting some anxiety or just need someone to talk to about all those DMs and WhatsApps? Ahuva Shandelman is a licensed psychotherapist and the founder of Holy Shid, She treats clients with care, empathy, and a ton of shit. Ahuva can be reached anywhere, as she treats clients virtually and is also based in Rockland County for office hours. She can be contacted if you're interested via email, ahuvashandelman@gmail.com, or DM her on Insta, @holy_shit. IJ and Avery love her. You will too.
Welcome, Nobody Talks Shidduchim Podcast. You're here live with Paige, IJ, Avery. What is your name, caller?
My name is Rebecca.
Rebecca. Okay, another Rebecca calling. Wow, 3 Rebeccas tonight. Rebecca, we have a very, very hot topic, as Wendy Williams would preach, and I shall preach the same. Shomer, what were your thoughts from last episode? What are your thoughts right now for this episode?
Being Shomer is a very big challenge, whether you're modern Orthodox, extremely from yeshivish, Hasidish, it doesn't matter.
Amen.
It doesn't matter how from you are because of chemistry and people wanting to see if there is chemistry. Once a person gets married, to figure it out then and find out then if everything's working exactly the way you want it to is risky.
What do you mean by it's risky? What are you risking?
People think that they have chemistry or that they will have a great intimate relationship with somebody, but until they actually find out or experience it, they don't know. And if a person is Shomer, how would they know if it's going to work out or if everything actually works?
So correct me if I'm wrong. You are saying that people who are not Shomer are kind of like, let's call it, for lack of better terms, testing the goods before to know that, okay, this is good. I'm going to settle my house over here. This is fine.
Testing the goods, huh?
Technically.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what you're saying.
Especially from certain experiences.
Okay. And are you a proponent? Are you a proponent of that theory?
Yeah, I am.
Really? Why?
I like that.
I think it's very, when people go through things and they've experienced being in a relationship and there isn't chemistry and things mechanically are not working or don't work. If one is married and they find out then,
right,
that's a very hard thing to fix. Okay. If you can figure that out before, it can avoid years of pain and therapy and money and heartbreak. Don't you think?
Now that's a very different discussion that we were having, but I completely understand. Would you say that that's a minority of cases from what you've experienced or from what you know, or is that a majority where there are issues like that?
Unfortunately, people are not as forthcoming about these experiences. And because it's so private and kept as sneeze and people don't talk about their sex life openly, which I respect. I think that you
Except
can do that.
Well, no, it has to be tznius. No, yeah, I like what Rebecca's saying. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The fact that people don't discuss it and share, people also then can't support each other or guide each other in those situations. So sometimes people end up finding themselves stuck in a relationship once they're married in an unhealthy sexual situation with someone, and they don't know different, they don't know better, and nobody's talking about it. Thankfully nowadays, people are more open and there are more opportunities to reach out, and there's more access, especially with social media and things like that. But it wasn't always like that.
Right. It was kept very quiet. It wasn't discussed. As Rabbi Manis Friedman says, who we love, it was kept in the bedroom. And now we're in a generation that is a lot more emotional, a lot more curious, has a lot more problems. And yeah, I think the millennials especially are the ones who got their tuchuses handed to them, that we have to deal with all this, because there is a generation growing up now that's very politically correct, most of these Gen Zers, and they're very open to talking about it. Of course we could talk about it. We need to, and we're all happy. And you know, we have people in the middle who kind of get the brunt of everything. Now, Rebecca, jumping back on some points that you made, yeah, I hear what you're saying. You want to, you know, like Avery pointed, testing out the goods. Maybe you want people are breaking shoulder because they want to get that physical aspect out of the way. Right? I know a couple who is currently seeing a marriage therapist. You know, it doesn't look like the marriage is going to hold up together. I know this guy. He married her for the looks and the money. I can't blame him. Avery's done the same with me.
Does she still have the looks? Does she still have the looks and the money? Because then
yeah. I'm gonna ask her out
Wait,
when the marriage is over.
So what are you trying to say, IJ? You're saying that it could be like a physical.
That's one. I think that's one of the benefits, perhaps, of breaking Shomer, where you can get that out of the way and now say, you know what? I've gotten the physical touch out of the way, and I'm still interested in you. It's weird.
Okay, right. If they're still interested.
Now let's be Shomer. I mean, obviously, again, I am a proponent.
Interesting.
As Avery was saying, like you gotta be a proponent. You have to. The Shomer stuff works, but perhaps it can save a lot of steps. It can get you there in a more circuitous way, than stretching this damn thing out. So.
Well,
Rebecca, great,
we appreciate you for highlighting that perspective.
I would also like to add something that because someone breaks Shomer, it can cloud the relationship in a certain way, but that infatuation and that sexual tension and that excitement, that fizzles. That excitement lasts just so long. If the relationship is not tight and strong and there's something more,
very true,
it'll be over.
Yeah.
So
someone can
it's only going to last when there's something pulling them together intellectually, emotionally.
Right, it has to be. Yeah,
physical is temporary.
And our audience, overwhelmingly, because we speak to them. People message us, people email us, they text us. We have a 609-222-4000. You can text Avery and I, and we have a very smart group of people, and they know it's emotional. They know primarily this is an emotional or intellectual connection that they're looking to make, not just physical. You know, it pisses me off when shadchanim or rabbis roll their eyes at this and how could you not? How could you not? I went through your yeshiva, gosh darn it. What do you think? I'm a moron? I know we have to connect hashkafically, we have to connect intellectually, emotionally. You're just embarrassing yourself. You rabbi, you mora, you therapist, you whatever, mother, father, you're embarrassing yourself by opening up your mouth and saying, just so you know, it's, you got to make sure. Anyway, thank you so much for calling, and have a great weekend. Avery will sell you the therapist payment right here that I had.
Yep.
All right, Rebecca, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, some phenomenal points, extraneous to say the least. So actually, it's funny. Everyone should go check out the webpage, shidduchpodcast.com. Under articles, we got some really good stuff. We have a really funny scene from How I Met Your Mother. It's creeper or romantic. Okay, creeper or romantic over there. Check that out. See how ambiguous things can be in the eyes of the beholder. And also another one on the web page. Listen to this guy. He talks about how his daughter really started to pray, and she found Habashir. Pretty insane story. You gotta listen to it. It's shidduchpodcast.com under articles. Shidduchpodcast.com under articles. Hi, this is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. You're live with IJ, Avery, and Paige. How's it going tonight? What's your name?
I'm good. It's Rachel again. I feel like this is becoming a good Ben session.
Yes, yeah. Today we're continuing in our series of episode 50, now episode 51. We're talking about being Shomer. What are your thoughts on last week's episode? And then we have some other questions for you if you'll tune around.
Cool. Okay, so last week's episode was amazing. I liked hearing both sides from just like a therapist perspective versus just like a people in the thick of it perspective. I don't know what really, like a humanistic, realistic side, I guess. So it was really cool to kind of piece that apart and see both sides and have like an open conversation about it without people attacking each other.
Right.
It was like very mature.
So as a young single out there in the world, how do you, now that you've listened to the episode and you heard what Holy Shit and we had to say in debate, how do you navigate Shomer and relationships? How do you think that young singles out there should navigate Shomer and relationships?
I think that there is like a very big like mob approach sometimes to Shomer. I don't know if that's a little too harsh, but sometimes I feel like everyone's repeating the same sentences over and over again without giving it thought versus feeling.
Such as?
I don't know. I've been hearing the line a lot recently. Guys will be like, I mean, I could be Shomer for the right person. So I'm like, oh, so then like, am I not the right person? Are you just like deceiving other people? Like, you can only be strong for like a few certain people. And I'm sure maybe girls also say that. I'm just only date guys. And I feel like that line's come up a lot. I don't usually try to bring up Shomer energy. I kind of like to see where the guy leads it and kind of just not innocent, you feel guilty. Everyone does their own thing, but
has there been a time where it made you feel uncomfortable discussing it with a guy, or a guy made you feel uncomfortable because they, you know, were clearly not in a Shomer mindset?
It's a really good question. There were definitely one or two instances that it was really uncomfortable. One guy just like without even asking me, just like tried something on me. I was not cool with that.
Whoa.
That was really awkward.
Paige, what would you do if that happened to you?
I don't know. I'd probably freak out, to be honest. And then like the whole rest of the evening or day or whatever it is, just be like completely awkward. And I think it would just end right there.
It wasn't IJ, right, Rachel?
It might have been. I don't remember.
Even who IJ is. IJ is a gentleman. Joking, I have no clue who IJ is.
Wow. Thank you so much. You're now my favorite caller. Rachel, one last thing before we let you go. You know, a lot of feedback from last episode from outside parties, singles and married people, was literally a response that I would like would warrant me just, you know, tickling them to hell. And the response was tickling them to hell. Yeah, that's a thing, Avery. The response was, oh, what's next, huh? We're not going to keep kashrus? We're not going to keep Shabbos? Very small-minded people, and you belong in Gehenna if you say such a thing. And here's why. Because touching is a physical need. It's an emotional need. It's a chemical need. It's on every single level, as a Huva last time discussed. Kashrus, most people grow up and it's simple and it's easy, and if you don't want to choose it, you don't want to choose it. You don't want to do it. That's an easy choice. Shabbos, probably more emotional, maybe background-wise, but so different. What do you have to say? You think it's similar, or you think, you know, you're with the enemy?
I have a lot to say on that. I think the first thing to kind of come from, I guess, my perspective is I think a lot of people think that people who are Shomer are like emotionless robots, and that's so not true. Keeping Shomer is really hard, and I know it's harder for guys. So just like to validate that, I think people are just like, oh, if you are Shomer, like you must be a robot, you're crazy, there's something wrong with you. I think there's become a stigma against, working really hard to, no offense, to do the right thing, even though obviously everyone spins in their own ways, everyone flips in different things, and I totally get why. Like, I'm an older single, so I get that. Like, I know how hard it is, and I just think it's, like, wrong when people on the flip side kind of put you down for working hard for something you truly believe in and value. And that goes for anything, not just Shomer. It could be so many things. But from what you were saying, I don't remember what I wanted to say.
Meaning,
what
like,
would you say
in
again?
terms in relating it to Kashrus and Shabbos, which I think you definitely gave some good responses. Before.
Oh, okay. So I was really lucky to have gone to a really firm high school that was also very open-minded and exposed us to a lot of things. We had a whole week where we talked about Nida, and we could ask whatever questions we wanted. They took us on a mikveh trip, and
Whoa! Don't tell us what that is.
it was so normal. What?
I'm actually quite
Don't
impressed.
tell us what the mikvah
We
trip is.
should have more high schools like that.
That's for the
From
call
another
her.
female
I
descent.
actually
That's for the
think-
call her emo
I actually-
podcast.
I actually think they need to do it more in boys' schools. I mean, I think I just went to a really good school. I think they should do it in more schools, and I think it's the same thing, honestly, with guys and kashrus, where, like, you're kind of, like, sitting, learning Gemara, but practically, like, how do I keep kosher in the real world? Like, I've seen guys go to a not kosher store and think it's gourmet glatt, and they're picking out all this not kosher food wearing a kippah, and I know they keep kosher. I'm just like, oh, sorry, like, not everything in the store is kosher, just, like, a lot of things. And I think when it comes down to, like, practicality, I don't think there's enough open conversations in the yeshivas. I think it needs to almost maybe start at a younger age to kind of
Got it.
have more of, like, an open conversation about why things are important, practically, what does it mean, how
I like that. I
to
like
deal
that.
with it in a practical way.
Yeah. I like
Okay,
that.
Rachel,
Deal in
so
a practical way. Yeah.
That's a different take than we had, but dealing with practicality in our yeshivas when we're younger is probably a way to instill that in our lives as we grow older. That is a great point. Keep listening. Thank you.
Bye, Rachel.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right, episode 51 of the books, navigating relationships with Shomer. This is the Shomer series part 2, and we thank our contributors for coming. Thank you so much. Paige, thank you so much for coming on. Finally, we found you came to the right studio. Last time he ended up somewhere else, and they had to quarantine him for. Avery, thanks for being with us this episode.
Yeah, thank you for not kicking me off again.
Yeah, absolutely. You're out of here. All right. Anyway, so hopefully you all enjoyed this episode of the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. Our website, shidduchpodcast.com. Our Instagram at Nobody Talks Shidduchim.
Too bad it's in 9 days because we had a great song to play.
We
Can't
did.
touch this.
We did.
But it's too bad.
We already did that one, no?
I know.
And ladies and gentlemen, as I usually end off, happy face, smiley face, silly face. This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, and here is a little bit for Avery. We know he loves the song. It is very apropos.
It's 9 days.
It's very apropos for the.
What's
Very, it's very apropos.
Is it Yeshiva Boys Choir?
What happened here? 1 second. Oh, here we are. Seinfeld, right here. He loves this show.
Wow, Ida's got dance moves. Look at him.
Nobody Talk Shidduchim podcast. Avery's doing all the editing this episode. So. Good one, huh? Acapella, aloud.
Great choice.
Break Shomer. Don't break Shomer. Don't ask me if I'm Shomer. Shomer slut. Shomer.
I hope there's Ziggy, some serious editing.
You hear what this guy's saying?